Hi, this is Hong Kong Design Book Club and I'm Soyeon. Welcome to our design book review episode number 6. Today, we are going to review Thoughts on Design by Paul Rand. This one is a very simple and short 95-page book with a lot of graphic work examples, so you can probably finish the book in 1 hour. Let's look into who Paul Rand is and his representative works, how he stands in the history of graphic design, and his design philosophy, heavily influenced by John Dewey and Roger Fry. Paul Rand is one of the most iconic graphic designers who lived in the 20th century. He started his graphic design career in media promotion and publishing in the 1930s, became very successful art director on groundbreaking ad campaigns, later designed logos for some of the most well-established corporations such as IBM, ABC, Ford, Enron, UPS, etc. This book is an essay originally written in 1947 when he was 33 years old, revised in 1970, published by Chronicle Books. Like the title, it's genuinely about Paul Rand's thoughts on all kinds of designs, including print, advertisement, and industrial. The most important concept of this book is functional aesthetic perfection, which means the perfect balance between beauty and utility. Living in the era of mobile devices and web usabilities, we all know the importance of functional aspects. We all know how frustrating when the beautiful app is not working properly. But it was the 1940s. He was living in the era of Madison Avenue, experiencing the rise of consumer advertising. Long time ago, design was mere decoration. If you look at the Rococo-style furniture, the aesthetics do nothing with opening the drawer or sitting on it. But throughout the Industrial Revolution, technological advancement, modernism, and capitalism, visual communication between the designer and the spectator became more important. He says, graphic design is not good design if it does not cooperate as an instrument in the service of communication. Visual communications of any kind, whether persuasive or informative, from billboards to birth announcement, should be seen as the embodiment of form and function, the integration of the beauty and the useful. We can find John Dewey's influence here. He was an American philosopher who was a progressive voice of pragmatism and liberalism. He wrote about many topics, including art, wrote Art as Experience in 1934. Paul Rand is quoting John Dewey's comment on the relationship between fine art and useful of technological art, says that many, perhaps most, of the articles and utensils made at present for use are not genuinely aesthetic happens, unfortunately, to be true. But it is true for reasons that are foreign to the relation of the beautiful and useful as such. Wherever conditions are such as to prevent the act of production from being an experience in which the whole creature is alive and in which he possesses his living through enjoyment, the product will lack something of being aesthetic. No matter how useful it is for special and limited ends, it will not be useful in the ultimate degree, that of contributing directly and liberally to an expanding, an enriched life. I find this is fascinating. We user experience designers in 21st century try to understand people's emotions, how they react to our services and products under their circumstances, what's the whole experience like, what are their pain points and high points and sorts. And the very concept was already written down in 1934. So aesthetic and utility are two essential aspects of design, and when those two are mutually generative, it can eventually create enjoyment in people's lives. And that was the ultimate goal that Paul Rand tried to achieve through his works. Paul Rand is also influenced by Roger Fry, a British painter and critic. He was a formalist who claims that the most important aspect of a work of art is its form, the way it is made, and its purely visual aspects, rather than its narrative content or its relationship to the visible world. He's also known as a representative of post-impressionism, a member of Bloomsbury Club, a friend of Virginia Woolf, who wrote his biography. In this book, there are at least 3 parts that Paul Rand is quoting Roger Fry. Where he writes about the role of humor, he's quoting Roger Fry quoting Plato, stressing the effects of entertainment and amusement. He also uses Roger Fry's comment and essay on explaining how imaginative integration works and how to use an asymmetric balance to acquire aesthetic satisfaction. The main topics he writes in this book are symbol, humor, photogram, typography, etc. It's simply entertaining just looking at his graphic works, while corresponding to the topics. I have 2 reservations on this book. There are some universal design principles we can make use, but overall I feel like most of the contents are about printings and advertisement. Some of his writings might be outdated, and as a modern designer who is living in a digital era, it was a little hard to connect. He also kept referring graphic designers as male, keep saying he, him, himself. Some might say, geez, that was 70 years ago, and that was totally normal back then. But still, female graphic designers and copywriters like Cy Pinellas, Flo Cowles existed in that era. We know Peggy Olson is not totally fictional, and I think he could be more considerate when using pronouns. It is not very pleasant experience that the book you just read is proactively marginalizing people like myself. It is also known that he was being hostile towards the people who wanted to accept more diversity at Yale University back in the 90s. Paul Rand is definitely one of the most important graphic designers from the previous century, but everyone from this century doesn't have to love everything about him. And honestly, I don't either. That's it for today. Enjoy our other book reviews such as The Design of Everyday Things by Dawn Norman. If you liked this episode, please like it and subscribe us. And thank you if you have already subscribed. We have almost 200 subscribers and that is so great. See you next time.